Okay. Well. Oh, what is happening to us? Something is wrong, Wahab. What's that?
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I think we are being missing something. So what is that we are missing?
Very good question. Well, I just haven't been doing much. Not really sure what I'm missing. I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Yeah, so I think what's absent is the self-admiration based on achievements, known as self-respect.
Huh? Me? Liking self-respect? No, that's not possible. Nah, get out of here.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be useful to be a little bit more introspective and ask those hard questions to discover the uncomfortable truths.
Hard questions. I'll answer anything. Whatever you throw at me, I have the answer for. Give it to me.
Oh, that's very good. So, yeah, let's talk about the self-respect and then why we need to care, why it's so important.
But
So,
what do you mean? Why do we need to care?
yeah,
About what?
let's start with the definition.
Definition of who?
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that we need to keep in mind is to listen to the other person. So that sounds like a familiar situation in which we could have found ourselves in the past. So, and under these circumstances, we are going to dissect this topic a little bit, see why it's important, what it entails, and how to actually train it alongside the life hacking philosophy of our channel. So, yeah, I heard that you're looking up the definition of self-respect, right? So, what did the actually article say?
Yes. Um, well, first I looked up the definition of respect just because I had an understanding
Okay.
of what it meant all my life, but I was never able to pick words to be able to describe it and be like, it means, you know, this definition. But after doing what I love doing when I don't know something and Googling it, it gave me like 4 definitions. But I guess what I see in common is the feeling of admiration. Not only admiration, it uses the word deep admiration of something or someone that's elicited by either abilities, qualities, or achievements.
Okay, great. So yeah, we have those two parts to this sensation, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is a self-respect, which we can hear about sometimes, then it is kind of your own admiration of yourself based on your abilities, qualities, and achievements. So I think it's going to be a pretty good one to concentrate on. And yeah, so once we have the definition, we can think about the, so to speak, manifestation of self-respect. For example, if let's say I sit like that, right? So I might not have a lot of self-respect to me, but to myself. But if I sit something like that, okay, well, I have the admiration to myself based on my ability to sit straight, based on my ability to develop a good posture, for example. Right. So,
Excuse me.
yeah, then other things that kind of like come to mind is when you wake up, for instance, you make the bed, right? So that could be kind of the sign of admiration to yourself. You just do something that is showing this admiration, right? So you can think, okay, well, I'm a good person, or I'm going to achieve something during the day. So I will make my bed to start the day. on the right foot, so to speak.
I guess you
Okay.
can also say it's showing respect to like your environment. For example, if you wake up and you leave it a mess, your room is a mess, you're sort of not showing respect for the environment you have, for the roof that's over your head, which we almost for certain take for granted.
Yeah, that's right. There are many examples that you can think about. Or for example, yeah, the room, the roof above this room, and maybe, I don't know, dressing up, for example, for the day, right? So that's something else that a lot of us can be missing potentially, right? So for instance, you can have some sort of stained clothings, right, that smell bad, and you might not care about that at all. So you can think about this in this way. Okay, well, I'm, for example, tired, and I'm not worth anything, so I'll just throw on myself whatever clothings I have, right? So that's another way to show the lack of self-respect. But if you start with maybe ironing your t-shirt, something like that. So I think I did iron my t-shirt actually for today, so that's looking self-respectful. Then you will show the self-respect via this particular action. I'm sure there is a million ways to demonstrate self-respect, but clothings, for example, and dressing up neatly, let's put it that way. At this point, we all should have kind of an idea what it means to dress up neatly, right? Not necessarily you have to wear a tuxedo or something like that at any moment of the day, right? But still, you can look good in whatever clothings you have. I hope we do look good in those t-shirts and shorts, hopefully. So, or some sort of pants. And essentially, in general, kind of like the way you carry yourself during the day, right? Once it comes down to some sort of routine activities, such as, I don't know, not biting your nails, not picking your nose, I don't know, behaving properly in the public bathrooms. So that's a whole other topic, right? We can think about. So yeah, there are lots of actually small, mundane things that we, as you said, can take for granted, right? But if we do not care about them, then we might as well think, okay, looks like I do not show self-respect to kind of like my life.
Yeah, I love the fact that you mentioned, what you wear and how you carry yourself, because that's a huge factor. For example, if you wear the same baggy sweatpants every day and the same t-shirt with like the spaghetti stain, from
Yeah.
last week's meal, then you don't even like have, based on the title of this episode, like self-respect. So what happens is you're allowing yourself to wear, unclean clothing. Yet, and then what you do is on top of that, you add the bonus of slouching, of not walking with your chest up or looking down. That plays a physiological effect, because what happens is you start to hunch over, you start to feel not inferior, but you sort of embed weakness in your mind. And I'm not saying, walk wherever you go with your chest puffing out as maximum as you can and shove anyone that walks in your way. But
Yeah.
carry yourself with good posture and you will feel better. It's not instantaneous, like I puff my chest out and it's like, now I feel great. No, but if you keep your chest out, if you walk with your head, not head high, but just at a good level, then you start to feel better, because in a way you are carrying yourself well. And how you carry yourself is how you essentially display your values. And that's the next point that I wanted to get into. that, let's say, carrying or using dirty clothes, baggy and unfitted, unclean, or even smelly, you now show what you value and what you tolerate. And to continue on what you said, like, you don't need to be wearing a tuxedo every day. I know people say dress sharp, think sharp, or feel sharp, but just wearing something that's nice and neat, presentable in a sense, shows you that, okay, he's a man who values like basic hygiene, which I feel like we all should value at this point. But then in a way, these, I guess, cover of dirty clothes, unfitted, shows you that you don't value putting in time and energy into yourself, that you just allow it to continue. So in a sense, like what you value, you need to like reassess it in a way. So for example, trying to look around me and be like, okay, you have, I guess, basic values of, integrity, honesty, loyalty, like these words that you could probably find in a poster hung up anywhere.
Yes.
Shows you that if you tolerate the bare minimum, and just for the sake of, you don't want to like put your foot down and be, hey, no, if someone is going to not value, let's say, honesty, and in a way, if you keep tolerating that, then you show that this is what you're allowing for yourself, in a sense.
Okay. Yeah. So in this case, we are trying to make the connection between the achievements, which in this case will be the values, and the admiration to yourself, which in this case will be sort of what you do based on the values. So I guess we can think about this achievement or properties, abilities, features, and admiration as two things, right? So that we can find out in various situations in our life and then see, okay, well, what properties do we have, and then how does our behavior manifest those properties, right? So for example, if we, let's say, value being properly clothed, right? So that's going to be like our property. Okay, well, I like to look presentable, then you will look presentable. But if you don't have the presentable look, then, well, I guess there could be many situations in like a particular life of an individual, in which case they might look unpresentable, but in fact they do value looking presentable. But in general, we can look like almost like make a connection, like a Sherlock Holmes, right, between those two things. If you look bad and you have those like spaghetti stains all over your clothing, and then maybe the shoes are dirty and like, yeah, not looking good, maybe your room is a mess, then you might as well kind of not have those values, right? Which is going to be, let's say, the order in your room and the cleanliness of your clothing. So in this sense, you can think about this as a tool, the self-respect, right? As a tool to inventory your, or to make an inventory of what you have in life, right? So such as values and probably even relationships, right? So if you expand a little bit, so you move from your own values to the relationships. Okay, so how can we apply this line of thinking to relationships?
I heard a saying, I think it's a famous saying, and it goes, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And when I heard
One way to think about it.
that really, really stuck with me, because who you do in fact surround yourself with is who you will in fact turn out to be. I don't care if, you know, you're a really, really righteous person and you have like a firm set of values and beliefs. If you surround yourself with, you know, people who are just downers all the time, people who are negative, people who are, I guess,
Yeah.
losers would be the word to say, like that just want to do nothing, want to achieve nothing. And these people have zero values. You will not be the person who will like lift them up or think, no, as a matter of fact, you will be outnumbered and they will eventually drag you down. And then what happens is like these toxic relationships will end up like poisoning you, kind of in a way when you have a fruit and then you have another moldy fruit right next to it. If you have the moldy fruit and you basically stick two fruits together, the mold will in fact spread. So what happens is if you know, see your relationships around you and it's full of people who are sort of content where they are in life, don't want to strive for anything better, um, don't want to work hard or like try to push themselves, then that's what you'll build for yourself when you hang out with them. Whereas if you tell yourself, no, I value hard work, I value integrity, loyalty, and honesty, and you're not finding these in your relationships, whether it's, you know, friends, family, significant others, whatever, then that's what you're going to give yourself for your life. Whereas if the people you surround yourself with are always people who want to better themselves, are people who want to push themselves, people who want to, you know, find something they're afraid of and find a way to not be afraid of it anymore, then these habits will go into you.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that is true. So again, we can see the application of self-respect as or in relation to relationships. So that is pretty cool. So that is pretty awesome, I think. So it is just like one tool, but we can apply it to many situations in life. So yeah, another thing we can think about is activities, right? In general. So let's say we have some sort of uplifting activities, right, that we perform, and then based on that we can admire ourselves, right? So generally that will foster our sense of self-respect, which will later penetrate to many areas of life, such as maybe dressing up properly for an occasion, right? Since we have been talking quite a bit about dressing up, so yeah, why not to use it as something to admire, right? So yeah, activities that will actually be quite important, right? So if you think about, let's say, some sort of bad activity, what's a good example? Maybe, I don't know, smoking cigarettes, right? For example, so you smoke cigarettes, so that is a bad activity, and this will make you probably not showing much admiration to yourself, and as a result it will kind of damage your overall sense of self-respect. If you think about self-respect as some sort of maybe like disco ball, right, that spins around and consists of those many shiny squares or rectangles, whatever they are, right? So you have, let's say, and then each rectangle is some sort of part of your life. Maybe one of them will be an activity such as smoking, right? And then this rectangle will become black instead of being shiny. So it will sort of decrease the shine of your self-respect a little bit. And then another one will be maybe eating too much processed sugar or whatever is bad these days, right? So this will count maybe as kind of like 4 rectangles or something like that. So that will diminish the shine of your self-respect disco ball if we use this activity. that's how I would kind of experiment with that in my life. So what activity do I do? How does it impact my sense of self-admiration and self-respect in general?
I love the disco ball analogy. You know, you have the tiny little cubes where like just alone wouldn't really do much, but when all they're
Yeah,
put together, they really, really can shine up a dark room.
yeah,
And that's what you want to do. You want to fill in the disco ball with like little bright panels. You don't want, dark ruined ones
exactly.
that
Because they will
aren't going to reflect anything.
break the disco ball, especially if
Exactly.
you
Then
have
you
a
have a
lot of
bad disco
them.
ball.
Yeah, so you maybe smoke cigarettes and then you are sloppy in the bedroom, for instance, in the morning, and you maybe, I don't know, don't do your dishes, right? Whatever
Mhm.
it might be. And then this kind of like shiny ball of self-respect is diminishing. And then ultimately, so it kind of like makes you not achieve your potential, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's what will happen. And
Mhm.
yeah, so speaking of activities, so there is another one which is quite popular these days. It's self-care, right?
Oh wait, sorry to interrupt, but I
Yeah.
just have a few things to like backpedal on the
Oh yeah, sure.
activities part. Um, the thing is, I think we mentioned this in another episode that people are now killing time rather than trying to use time. And when you kill time, you don't have that many achievements in your life. And by achievements, I don't mean starting a company at the age of 15. That's a multi-million-dollar company now. No, but in a way, you can think of activities as hobbies. Like nowadays, I pretty much find this so much when speaking to people and asking about hobbies. They, it's very, very few. Or unfortunately, I guess maybe the people I ask just don't really do hobbies. But in a way, you can, take up, let's say, painting, reading, cooking, um, programming. There are so many activities to do. Whereas if you, let's say, manage them properly, you can start adding these tiny little reflective panels in the disco ball. Like
Yes.
the unfortunate thing is that, let's say, when you focus on only one, and then let's say you have a sort of roadblock, then you won't really have something else to focus on while, let's say, you have writer's block and you want to write a novel or write a book. Then, you go to painting. But then let's say you take up painting, you go to an art store and you buy almost everything and then do nothing. Like that's not something you want to do. So in a way, like you can start out maybe like 10, 15 minutes a day, whether it's reading, writing, programming, drawing, like whatever you name it, something that's productive and can get you an end result rather than cruising social media for like 50 hours in total. So
Yeah. If
in
I think
terms
about
of
it,
Mhm.
yeah. So if I think about it, maybe, yeah, let's say the social media, right, as an example. For instance, let's say I would take, so since we're like doing the life experiments and then hack the life based on them, for example, I'll take some sort of like an hour of my day, and then I'll decide to spend it on social media cruising, so just browsing, and then I will ask myself, so how do I feel after that, right? So I will most likely not admire myself.
Yeah,
So
you'll
this will
feel like you've
be,
literally done nothing,
yeah. And
which is what
then
you've done.
as a conclusion,
Mhm.
it will be damaging to my sense of self-respect, or the character trait of self-respect, whatever this is called broadly. But if I sit down for an hour and then I can, for example, I don't know, some example from my day today, I was watching those educational videos, how to develop your Instagram page, right? Or how to develop your YouTube channel. So I was doing that for about an hour. So I was drinking some coffee and drinking food. I mean, drinking water. So, well, I guess you can drink food as well. So that's entirely possible. But then
Mhm.
I felt much better. So I admired myself. Let's use this grandiose word in this case. And then that made me probably dress up better. So, or sit with a better posture, things like that. So in a sense, it kind of like provided some sort of chain reaction, if I may nerd out. So you do something good, and then this will add some other good action to your life. But you do something bad, for example, I don't know, start with the
You'll
social media
stockpile. Yeah.
browsing. Yeah, that's right. Then you decide to drink some, I don't know, um, beverage with lots of added sugars, right? And then you eat a cake undeservedly, things like that. So all of a sudden, you have not 1 hour spent in vain, but maybe 2, and then maybe more. And yeah, so that's going to be a compound effect of badness happening. So yeah, you're talking about
Mhm.
anxiety these days. What about it?
Oh, thank you for mentioning that.
I
That's
recall,
literally
yeah,
written in my notes right in front of my face, and I didn't even mention that. Um, these hobbies and activities you can use as a method of self-care, let's say, like exercising or painting or writing or journaling. Um, any of these actions, let's say, rather than social media or video games or watching pointless TV, these can now be a method to unload your stress, to manage your anxiety. Like, we're all humans, we have been anxious at one point or another, whether someone shows it or not. Everyone, I guarantee you, you have met in your life has dealt with something that is anxiety causing, no matter who they are in life. Even if you go ahead and listen to
yeah,
podcasts with like the most like badass of soldiers, they were anxious in the positions they were. The only difference is that in that scenario, you have two options. Either you deal and confront that anxiety causing source, or the second option where you let it take control of you. And the unfortunate thing today is that, in a way, it's been glamorized to let it take control of you and to just cushion you and to say it's okay, it's fine, um, don't worry about it. When in fact, what you're only doing is you're letting that monster under your bed grow bigger and bigger.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, if I think about my case, maybe yeah, at some point I had the entire streak of being anxious due to whatever reason. Maybe it was some
Mhm.
sort of project, or maybe it was a tough semester at the graduate school, some sort of course that was giving me anxiety, right? So if I did not manage that, so if I didn't take kind of the good action, any appropriate action, which would be to manage the anxiety, right? Look for the solution to eradicate the root of this anxiety, or to solve some problem that was causing the anxiety, resolve some situation, maybe conversation with somebody that was causing this anxiety. If I didn't take action, then I continued to feel bad and down, and I was not admiring myself at all. And then maybe it was actually causing me to, for example, not follow a proper diet, not dress up properly, things like that. So essentially, this one action of not doing anything about anxiety, right? So was causing me to perform quite bad in other areas of my life.
And that's the thing. It's like anxiety, when I guess you look at the overall silhouette of anxiety, you see this huge shadow cast like in front of you. And what happens is the shadow only seems to be growing bigger and bigger. But then when you shine a light on it, you see that it's not
Oh
one
yeah,
big shadow, but tiny little pieces all piling up together. And the thing is, we mentioned in one of the earlier episodes about journaling. Like many times, if there's like something stressing you out or making you anxious, writing it down does so much. Because when you look at it in front of you, like in a piece of paper, like,
Yeah.
I've been stressing over this whole time. Like, this is stupid. I guarantee you. Like, I'm not saying like I'm perfect. I'm like anxiety free, and like writing it down has always helped me. But like I myself, like I'm human, have dealt with anxiety. I guess like an example I can directly recall would be social anxiety. Like it's such a common thing. You know, many times it would stop you from engaging with strangers or people in your surroundings because you put this thing in the back of your head like, oh no, they're going to judge me. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then you see it's like you keep adding these tiny little creatures on top of each other, then it just looks like a big monster. All you need to do is shine a light on it and be like, no, okay, if you say anything, I guarantee you 90% of the time no one is thinking, oh hey, look at what this guy is saying or doing. Half of the time they don't know either. I don't know either.
Yeah. It's very important to address this issue. So that's a very legitimate tool, I guess, to think about anxiety this way. So just to kind of imagine that as something that you can dissect into the bite-sized pieces, and then deal with those pieces one by one. And the good thing is that if you do this, and if you do this sooner or later, then you will be able to reduce the amount of stress that you have in general. So because I heard somewhere, according to some studies, so the stress, this kind of, what's it called? The state of stress actually produces the neurotoxins, right? So it's like a legitimate chemical that is bad for your body. And then conceivably, if you have a lot of that over a long span of time, then it has a potential to like kill you or something. So because it is literally called a neurotoxin, right? So it is kind of toxic for your brain and then your nervous system, things like that. So another thing to, I guess, incorporate is if we have some sort of lingering anxiety, then we need to recognize it and then deal with this sooner than later. So, and then this, might not be the most pleasant experience. Maybe need to confront something that has been there for quite a while, right? That was causing you anxiety and stress. But at the same time, after you resolve the situation, I think all the parties involved will feel better, not only you.
Deal with it before it deals with you.
Oh yeah, exactly right. So anything else we need to hit? So something about the talents, gifts, and self-respect. What about this connection? Can we draw some bridges there?
Yes, and I think like to finalize it, when thinking about self-respect, it's also thinking about taking care of yourself. And then you have to really say, okay, what is taking care of yourself? Is dealing with stress by chain smoking and binge drinking a proper way of taking care of yourself? I mean, like you can argue, oh no, you took care of my stress. My stress has gone away. But then, so your liver and your lungs are now basically gone when you're 40. So when seeking about care, like check in with yourself basically daily, I guess look in a mirror, write in a journal, paint, do whatever you can do. That helps nurture your needs. And then that ties into developing talents. Because essentially when we want to tie in the whole grand scheme of the definition of respect, you look at someone who's a great pianist. You're like, wow, this guy is so good at playing piano. Yet that guy he wasn't born being a master pianist. No, to sit through lessons, practice a song, really, really suck at the song, and trying it again, practicing it, and then eventually practice so much to where any key in the piano can be identified just by hearing the sound. And that just doesn't come from, a year of practice. That comes from so much.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, be patient, trust in the process, and don't be, anxious of the big shadow monster under your bed or whatever.
Yeah. So if we think about that, so I think we mentioned that self-respect is a kind of tool, or maybe it's an art to some extent, some sort of, I would say maybe it's like a course or something like that you can think about, right? And then you can approach that as a course, right? So if you study something, some sort of like course at the university or at school, college, whatever it might be, you can start with something small, right? So for example, you can be like, okay, well, I'll start with making the bed, and then it's going to be my feature, my trait that will provide me with some small relatively amount of self-admiration, right? And then you have this kind of pathway in your brain. Well, achieve something, right? And then develop the self-admiration, build a little bit of your self-respect, right? So then you can take it up a little bit further. So maybe you will start dressing up, or maybe this will cause the fact of making the bed will cause you dressing up better. Iron your t-shirt, your pants, and now, yeah, you will look better. That's another way to kind of, yeah, self-admire, right? So you will supposedly like your own looks. So this will kind of like become another piece in the disco ball, in this grand disco ball of self-respect. Then you can start, for example, taking it up a little bit further up a notch, right? So it becomes kind of now a whole different can of worms, right? Which kind of leads us to maybe building of your identity, right? Just based on self-respect pursuit. Let's put it that way, right? For example, I can think, okay, well, I know, let's say, how to do dishes efficiently, right? So I'll be developing this ability, this talent of mine, and then this will cause me to help people, whoever they might be, members of my family, housemates, and so on and so on. And then this will kind of be kind of another sort of deposit into my admiration of myself and the self-respect in general. So it kind of becomes a very, I would say, all-encompassing almost, or very, very broad tool, this course of self-respect in our lives.
We've always heard, treat others the way you want to be treated. Well, then treat yourself in that same manner. Treat yourself as if you were treating someone that you really cared about. And the thing is, like, these days, there's sort of a disconnect between it. Like, many people think, I don't care what happens to me, or, oh, this, I don't really care. Well, then understand that this is like who you are, what you were given in this life. And if you just disrespect it, then that will be the downfall to so many negative thinking patterns that can lead to depression, emptiness, but will follow on to anxiety, stress, unmotivation. And what happens is, like, that covers up everything we mentioned. So essentially, treat yourself like someone who you love so much. And if you do that, then you will only want the best for yourself. And if you follow the best for yourself, great things will come. You just have to be patient. You just have to keep showing that level of respect and admiration. trust the process, and in time, everything will eventually fall into place, whether you know it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, that might sound tedious, right? Somebody can object, oh, yeah, so many things to do this and that to just achieve self-respect. But at the same time, we think about that. So if it is something worthwhile, something good and big, then it will most likely require some labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but you can also like think about this as a game, right? So, well, you have some level 1, make your bed. So we mentioned this word maybe 16 times already during this episode. Then level 2, do the dishes, right? Level 3, I don't know, vacuum the floors or something like that. Level 4,
Level 4,
develop
boss fight.
some sort of talent. Yeah, so this can introduce some elements of fun. Then you can put it, like schedule it, somehow plan loosely at least throughout the week. And then, yeah, so Saturday night, you can like take rest from all that self-development stuff, and yeah, just have some rest, forget about that, right? And then recharge the batteries again. But again, so you should not descend, let's say, into smoking cigarettes and everything like that. So but maybe you will have something uh more benign, such as, okay, well, eating a piece of cake, okay, well, that seems good, or some sort of cheat meal. So yeah, this will be okay. So
And
yeah, and at the same time, it's kind of like practical also. You sometimes people become just self-development junkies, right? So they just read the books incessantly, and then they don't do nothing. But here, so looks like we need to accomplish something to admire ourselves based on that definition. I think it's a good definition. It's quite straightforward. So it sounds a little bit grandiose and then selfish, but the key word here is self-respect. So yeah, let's just focus on ourselves. So yeah, that's good, because yeah, if you become good, then it's likely that the community around you will become better, right? So like first it is 10 people out of 100, then 20, 30, and so on. With better self-respect, they will hopefully make a better community. So if you think about that, and then yeah, so if you want to have some sort of accomplishment, then you need to take action, right? So yeah, it's not just about reading about the importance of making the bed, but actually making the bed. So yeah, not reading about the development of talents and then improving yourself in the areas of your work and business and whatever it might be, personal relationship, but actually taking action and then to develop those relationships and then be a better scientist, businessman, entrepreneur, whatever it might be. So not only reading about relationships, but actually kind of developing good friendships with the people around you. So this is very actionable. So we don't want you to become self-development junkies.
Be honest with the achievements and be honest with the expectations. And I wanted to go back to the video game
Speaking of the
analogy.
achievements, we almost
yeah.
achieved the 45-minute limit.
Oh, this is a big chunky episode then.
According to studies, not more than 45 minutes. So yeah, we
Okay,
shall be wrapping it up soon.
I'll wrap it up real quickly with the video game analogy you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Just like a video game, you don't start with the level 100 character. No, you start level 1. Your character knows nothing. But then over time, you use an item, you gain skill points from experience. Does that sound familiar to real life? Yes, it does.
Exactly.
Because from experience, we gain skills.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's what I want to say to wrap it up.
Speaking of gaining experience and skills, please subscribe to our channel, and we will continue bringing you some relevant and actionable knowledge to take your experience and skills to the next level. Please also leave your comments and positive or most vicious reviews. We will take everything into account in comments, or DM us, message us. So whatever works, we shall be grateful. Thank you. And cut.